I had said not that long ago, like we kind of need to get away from like who's going to be the first female GM, because I said it's clearly not happening. And Kim Ng has been qualified to be a GM for more than 15 years. You could even argue that it's about 20 years. And she interviewed for a lot of jobs. I suspect that she took her name out of the running after a while because she didn't want to be that like token interview. And so I said, I think we need to like explore maybe who the next coach will be. And then then Rachel got hired, and then Alyssa got hired to be a major league coach on the Giants staff. And that was like huge. So my point being that like it went from really slow moving to all of a sudden happening really quickly. And when you see people like Brian Cashman, Derek Jeter to a certain extent, but these really, really high profile people that hire women, not because they feel they have to, or because they want to grab the headlines for a couple of days, but because they're like, oh, these are really qualified people that I want working for me. That's very cool. And so I see things progressing even more now that the door is open a little bit, and one team has now done it by hiring Kim Ng. I think that we might see some more people in more high profile positions moving forward, hopefully.
Do you think baseball is at the forefront of that, or have other sports kind of been better at that, been more progressive, been more accepting of women at those positions?
I don't think that baseball's at the forefront. I would like for it to be, obviously, since it's my industry. But no, I mean, I think like there was a recent article in The Athletic that kind of detailed like what the other major sports have done. There's a lot of women in very high positions, and there are in baseball too. I mean, I don't think that they're like the worst at it, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't call them like the front runners or the ones that created the trend. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that there have been female officials in football and basketball for like a really, really, really long time, and we're still waiting for our first woman umpire. So we're not there yet.
How is it in the media space? Is it better? Is it better than it was a decade ago, or is it relatively the same?
Yeah, in the media space, I mean, I started off in media relations for the Astros in the late 90s. There were very few assistant PR directors that were women, very few that traveled with the team. I started traveling with the team pretty early. The thought of like a woman PR director was unheard of, and those opportunities just didn't exist. And now you see it a lot, and it's just what I love is that it's commonplace. It's like we're not really talking about it anymore. As far as women in the media, I mean, I covered the A's up in Arlington last year, and all like MLB.com and the two papers up there, they were all women reporters, and Susan Slesser, who covers the A's for the San Francisco Chronicle, mentioned it, and I was like, I didn't even notice. There are so many women in the media. It's not. It's still very much like a middle-aged white guy profession, but you see a lot more. You see a lot of TV people, obviously, are women, and it's just pretty. What I like is that we don't really, people would ask me like, what kind of challenges, what kind of hardships did you have to go through? And I'm like, I got in right after the era of the Claire Smiths, and the Melissa Ludke's and the people that came before me that were absolutely discriminated against. By the time I got there and joined the media, that stuff didn't, not being allowed in the clubhouses and all of that. I mean, we didn't experience anything like that. I did run across, a few stupid people over time, of course, that had some choice things to say, but who cares about them? So I think it's really cool, that there's just opportunities that women are looked at is the same as anybody else when they're applying for jobs and when they're getting internships and getting into the business. And so we've come a long way.